Okay, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Zahra. Let me pin a comment. Hi, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Let me pin my comment here. I'm Zahra, and I'm going to be talking about time. Assalamu alaikum. I'm in SoCal. Okay. All right, let me see. How do I pin the comment? Pin comment. There we go. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hi. So good to see you all. Great. I know I'm a little behind schedule. I got my times mixed up. But so feel free to put questions in the comments or even use the question sticker. I don't know. Do I have to do something? No. Okay. That will just work. And what we're going to talk about is time. So if you have seen my previous posts about it, where I want to start, which I think is the most practical application of time going on for people right now, is with boundaries. So if you haven't seen the stories, please go check it out after this. But talking about boundaries, walaikum salam, is really critical for you to be able to feel that you have enough time and enjoy your time and make good use of your time. So the first thing about it is that Allah is the one who created time. He is, in control of time, and time is relative. So it is not fixed. People who are more connected, closer to Allah, will feel their time expanding, will, have those moments of oh my God, I don't know how, I was able to get there on time, or these things lined up for me, or that I was able to accomplish all of these things within the time that I had, because that's the barakah and blessing of Allah coming to support you. And so since time, she's saying, put my phone in landscape mode. Okay. So here we go. We're switching to landscape mode. Since time is relative, then you don't have to necessarily be focused on watching the clock, right? On watching the clock. How much time is there? How much time do I have? You can instead relax a little bit, understanding that you will be able to manipulate and have greater control of your time through your connection with Allah, and not necessarily through your own time management skills. And that hopefully is comforting to you, because I know in this day and age, we all, it's almost an idol that we all are checking our clocks, checking the time, worshiping the clock, that it dictates, what we are going to do, when we're going to do it, what we can say yes to, what we can say no to, that I don't have time for this, I do have time for that, that it kind of controls our lives and what we're capable of and what we can do. So now, as you are thinking about how you want to approach time and manage your time, the number one practical way, like I said, is to focus on your boundaries. Now, boundaries can be a challenge for women, especially because we are giving and nurturing by nature. And in so many of our roles, we are expected to give of ourselves, right? As a wife, we're expected to be accommodating and giving to our husband. As a mother, we're supposed to be in service to our children. Even in our work environment, we carry that burden of serving our customers or our clients, to our best of our ability. And so setting boundaries is really important for women, because we are so giving, we have to have something for ourselves. We have to nurture and care for ourselves so that we can give and can continue to give. And the reason why boundaries are really difficult for a lot of people is because of a mindset towards them that boundaries are selfish, right? That you get this notion that, oh, it's selfish of me, or it's not kind, it's not nice that I'm saying like I can't do this or I can't do that, or I don't want to, or it's too late for me to come over, whatever it is. It feels selfish. And so the people pleaser within us will say that, no, we can't set those boundaries. What will people think? And here, the way to begin is to shift your mindset that boundaries are not selfish. Boundaries are prophetic. Boundaries are encouraged. Boundaries are needed. And so boundaries, in our example of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he, was the most giving, compassionate, caring, person ever, right? He was so considerate and compassionate and would sit with people for hours, look people straight in the eye, give them his full attention, all of those wonderful qualities that we know about him. And to the point that, there was a time, a story in the Quran, there's a time that people came over and they would not leave. They would not leave because they just enjoyed his company. They enjoyed how giving he was, and they would not leave until, very extremely late. And the Prophet was so kind and generous that he didn't tell them to leave. And then Allah revealed a verse that, like, okay, the Prophet may be shy to tell you, but Allah is not shy. Like, these are the limits. After a certain hour, you guys need to go home. The Prophet needs to spend time with his family. He needs to sleep. He needs to take care of himself. Like, he cannot just be sitting with you, all night. And that lesson, right, is applicable to all of us, that boundaries are required, right? The Prophet ﷺ, like, the most influential man in history, needed his personal space, his time set aside for other things. Oh, we got a child.
House?
Are they outside?
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Can I go take it off?
Yeah, go wash your face, okay?
Can I tell you to take it off?
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Say hi. Okay, just wash your face and it'll come off.
Who's it?
It's friends. So boundaries are prophetic, that he needed them to be able to carry out the mission, and we need them to carry out, our own missions. And that it's not selfish, it's required, it's necessary, it's good personal, etiquette, behavior, hygiene, whatever you want to call it. It is in service of others to take care of yourself, right? That, like they say in the airplane, put your own mask on before assisting others. That you will not be able to help anyone if you're burnt out, exhausted, at brink's end, unless you have a way to refuel and fill up yourself. So setting those boundaries is in our tradition, it's in our Islamic heritage, it's in the Quran, and there's so many other examples of boundaries, right? Allah tells us, like, enter people's homes from the front door, not from the back door. If you're a guest, stay 3 days, and then leave, or, check in with your host because you become a burden. But you have to set these boundaries around how you interact with people.
If like something I do is off?
Yeah, good job.
Can I go?
Yes. And so, my daughter, she loves our neighbors' kids. Alhamdulillah. So really let that sink into your mind so that you'll be able to set boundaries. Okay, so now, like, I've convinced you that you need to set them. All right, where are we setting them? You're setting them with your husband, with your family. You're setting them with your kids. You're setting them at work. You're setting them on social media. You're setting them with news consumption. You're setting them for your own, personal care, right? That I'm taking this time out to, to go for a walk, to go exercise, to do a meditation, to sit and read, to be by myself, whatever it is, that you're setting a boundary, like, Okay, I've carved out 1 hour a day, and that's my self-care time, and I'm going to use it for this, and with my kids, I have a boundary, that they can't come into my room after 7. At work, I no longer responding to work emails by 5 o'clock. Whatever the boundaries are, you decide on them based on what's going to work for you, what's going to make you most productive, what's going to make you feel good, what's going to make you feel that you have filled up the different buckets in your life. So you decide on them, write them down, decide on them, and set them. And then it becomes on you to enforce the boundary. And here's where a lot of times things can break down, because you're like, okay, this is great. I'm going to set a boundary. I'm going to take 1 hour for me in the morning that, I go for a walk and then I do a meditation. And at work, I'm not going to, respond after 5, and, whatever it is. You set all these boundaries, like, this is what I'm going to do. And then, your boss the next day calls and it's like, oh, well, would you be able to join us on this thing that's at 6? Or could you just, work a little bit later for whatever it is on the weekend or something? And you're like, oh, okay, we are in a crunch time. This is really but I told him, I had the conversation that I really need to set this boundary, that I really am going to be having a hard stop at 5 o'clock because that's when I have to do other things for my family, blah, 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 whatever. You've set the boundary with him. And then he comes and he pushes back. Your boss pushes back and says, no, can you, just for today, can you do this thing at 6? And so here's where we break down, right? As women, we want to be accommodating, we want to be people pleasing, or we just feel an obligation, that someone's asked something of us that now we've got to fulfill their request. And we get frustrated because we're like, oh, I set this boundary, I told them, and now they're encroaching on my boundary. What's up? And this is because it is your job to enforce the boundary. Setting the boundary is not enough. It's not enough to just tell people, right? To go and tell my family, okay, everyone, mommy takes 1 hour to herself in the morning. So please, don't bother me, and expect that my kids are not going to come, banging on my door. Can I come for a walk with you? And all sorts of nonsense. It's on me to be like, remember what I said? So I'm going to be gone right now and I'm not going to be able to help you. I'll help you when I come back. To remind them, to enforce it, and to show that this is the way that I'm going to operate. This is how I'm going to be showing up and standing up for myself. And so we have to set that boundary, and then we have to enforce it, and we have to keep enforcing it until it sticks, right? So people may push back 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Eventually there'll come a time where they get it. They understand, okay, after 5, she is not responding to emails, or she is not going to be joining us on anything that happens after 5. So if we want to schedule it, we have to schedule it earlier. That once you keep enforcing it, then it will begin to stick. And so in the beginning, it can be hard because you will feel like, well, I've set a boundary, I want people just to respect it. But the respect comes over time from you holding the line on your boundary. Okay, so that piece of boundaries, inshallah, in and of itself, can be something that allows you to feel more control over your time. Not control, I want to say, but more fulfillment from the time that you have, because now you've got these different buckets and each one has its set amount, and you're moving through them, and so you feel good that at the end of the day I was able to work in all of these different buckets, as opposed to feeling that at the end of the day, oh my gosh, there was all these things I didn't get to because other things seeped in. All right. I haven't seen any questions come in, so if you have a question, feel free to ask. Exactly. Sticking to your word and not going back. Yes, exactly. Right. It's on you. And it's so tempting to want to give in to others. And it's really, you're doing it for yourself to commit to your word. Now, another good point about time is time spent with Allah. So here, especially in today's society where it's just go, go, go. What are you achieving? What are you doing? What success do you have? How are you being efficient? Are you maximizing your time and all of that? It can feel really hard to stop and take a break to to even make your regular prayers, or to do sunnah prayers, or to take a longer time in prayer, and then to do a meditation, right? Mindfulness and meditation is encouraged now and more widespread now, but it's still, to our minds, to our brains that have been go, 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 can still feel like, what are we doing? We're just sitting here, like we could be doing so many other things. Why are we just sitting meditating? No, 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 this is not good. And anytime you spend in the kind of reflective, quiet activities of prayer, meditation, journaling, just doing nothing, anytime you're engaged kind of in that space of stillness, of some amount of stillness, is when you have opportunity and more ability to access Allah, right? Because Allah is ever present and all around. But we spend so much of our own time in our minds thinking about what we've already done and what we need to do. And so because we spend so much time thinking about the past and thinking about the future, we're not here in this moment right now connecting with Allah, because this is right now is our only opportunity to connect with Allah. We can't connect to him when we're thinking about the past, and we can't connect to him when we're thinking about the future. Right now, in this moment, when you breathe, when you think, that's my chance to connect to Allah. Wait, I'm seeing a question. There are sometimes when you don't have a choice to go back on your word. What do you do in that kind of situation? Okay, I'll get back to that. And when you are connecting with Allah, it's the most beneficial use of your time, right? Taking 20 minutes to do a meditation, sitting in your prayer, your daily prayers 5 times a day, or in any extra prayer. Allah is the one who can refresh your mind. Allah is the one who can renew your spirit. Allah is the one who can ease the burden of your to-do list and all of your tasks. Allah is the one who can make the way for you, make things easier for you. So when you take time out of your schedule, of your day, to engage in those connecting activities, it has the potential to be the most rewarding and effective use of your time, right? Because everything else going on in your life can be improved, made easier. You can just disappear through your connection to Allah. So if you take that time, you sit, let's just all take a deep breath right now. And relax and know that you're supported and you're taken care of, and that Allah is with you, and that He's on your side, and that everything is working out for you. This is the best that things can be and should be. It realigns you to let everything kind of fall into place. And when Allah is the one, help supporting you for things falling into place, what better being to have on your side than Allah? And so spending that time with Allah will make all the other things that you need to get done easier to do. It will bring that perspective back that you're not alone. Oh my God, I'm not alone, racing against the clock. All these things I have to do. How am I going to get through them all? Oh my God, I wish somebody would help me. I wish, I didn't have to do this one thing, or blah, blah, blah. That, hey, you do have someone who's there who can help you, and who can make it easier, and can make it go faster, and can make it go efficient, and make someone else, rise up and help you out and do the task. And that's Allah. But you're going to forget that when you're so caught up in doing everything on your own. And that fallacy of self-sufficiency that our ego believes, and that the shaitan wants us to engage in. And so what you want to do is remind yourself and train yourself that prayer will bring me closer to Allah, and Allah will help me with everything that I have to do. And that reminder to you will have such a profound effect on how you're able to achieve, accomplish, get done, and how you're able to feel while doing it, that it won't feel so stressful and overwhelming and a burden. You will feel lighter and more relaxed and supported, and even it will help you to be able to say no to things, because so many of the things that we say yes to, or that we agree to, or that we feel obligated to do, are actually kind of based on fear of what will people think, or oh my gosh, no one else can do it, or they really need my help, or all of these kind of fear-based thoughts that make us overcommit, overextend. And when you realize that Allah's on my side, He's supporting me, you also realize that, like, okay, I don't have to accept every invitation, and I don't have to commit to every request. I can say no, and I can choose myself, and I can choose me, and that's okay, and that's good. And, that's part of the setting of the boundary, and I can choose, and I don't have to feel bad or even apologize for saying no, or that I can't. You could say, this sounds like a great, event or activity or initiative that you invited me to. Thank you so much for considering me. I have other priorities that, and so I can't commit to this right now, right? You can say it with an attitude of gratitude that the person has considered you and thought of you, with niceness of that, I understand your perspective, and that you feel that you need my support, and with also being true to yourself, that this isn't something that's aligned with what I want to do or need to do right now. My daughter is back. Yes. Your hands are dirty?
But I can't knock on the door.
Not right now. Okay, go wash your hands.
But they're not out.
Oh.
So I have to knock on the door.
I'll send her a message, okay?
Mm.
But you can't knock if your hands are dirty. First, go wash your hands. You can use a wipe, okay? Yes. Okay. Oh, so someone had the question about boundaries. There are some times when you don't have a choice, and then you go back on your word. What do you do in that kind of situation? I mean, as long as sometimes you will have to make exceptions, and you can't hold the line for certain things. And when that happens, you just state that you're making an exception. You say, like, let's say it's your boss, for example. Your boss says, I really need you to stay late, or whatever, do this extra work that's going to require that you stay late. And for whatever reason, you believe what your boss has said, and that is a requirement, and so you're like, okay, I am gonna stay late for this. So you state that. So you state, like, okay, I understand how critical that this assignment deadline is, and because of that, I'll be able to make an exception. I'll be able to extend my hours to be able to get this done for you guys, so that they know that it's not just, you're not just willy-nilly committing to doing this. You've made a conscious choice to forego your boundary to be able to deliver on whatever it is that they've asked for. Same thing, for if you were with your kids or your husband, and you in the mornings you normally go for a walk, and something comes up, a kid is sick and vomiting or something like that, and you cannot go for your walk now in the morning. So the same thing, like, okay, our child is sick, and I'm going to stay home to take care of you, and I'm not going to take my walk today, right? Another child. And so when you state that you're making an exception, it still is able to support you in holding the line, because you haven't just I'm getting a show now. You haven't just given it up without an explanation. right? Because when you do it without an explanation, people ask you, can you stay late? And you just stay late. Then the next day, can you stay late? And then they'll expect you to just stay late. But once they know that, like, okay, she's making a conscious choice and explanation, then they'll be able to
I wash my hands.
understand that
Mom.
it's not.
Okay. Knock on the door.
All right, so I need to go round up my kids. I've got 4 of them, and it's been a pleasure. I'm so grateful that Fariha has, invited me to be one of their 30 women. And you can find me at Practical Muslim. That's where I share coaching notes, devotionals, and I have currently I have a marriage relationship training that I do where we'll talk more about boundaries.
Her name is Mommy.
And I also have a personal account that is Z for Zahra. And I'm sure if you check on Fariha's feed, you can see all the links. So thank you so much. Feel free to reach out if you have any other questions. Check the stories because I posted other things about time as well that I hope will support you. And inshallah, everyone has a great last 10 days of Ramadan. If you haven't already have your du'as set that you want to be making these last 10 nights, go ahead and take that time to do it now. Again, take the time, and during these last 10 nights, take the time to be with Allah. Like Allah is saying, like, I am listening, I am available, I am here, I am even more merciful than how much merciful He already is. So take the time, put aside other things, and spend the most time that you can with Allah. Yes, this is my 6-year-old. You saw my 3-year-old. And so, yeah, mom life, right? Mom life. All right. Assalamu alaikum, guys.
Yeah, right? Mom life. Mom life.
How do I end this? Here we go.